Hey everyone, Sam and Chris from Wyvern Kodiak here. Before we get started, like and subscribe, check out some of the other videos and content that we have on our channels. Thanks a lot. Hey everyone, this is Sam with Wyvern Kodiak, and I am looking at the Kizer Critical. Chris couldn't make it today. He had to work, so I'm unsupervised. So the Kizer Critical is a big knife. It is S35VN titanium handles. You could see these beautiful 6 speed holes, as Chris would say, makes you go fast. It has some blue anodized pivot collars, a blue anodized titanium backspacer with the lanyard hole, and a titanium milled pocket clip. This version of it is the thumb stud version. There is also a flipper tab version available, or I should say was available. I don't think they make these anymore. And this is a Matthew Christensen design knife. So really cool looking knife here. Really beefy knife here. Frame lock with a lock bar cutout over here. So let's pop this open, and you have a reverse Tonto Warncliffe, I guess we'll call it that. It is a big knife. Let's do a size comparison here. We'll use a couple things that are familiar. Let's do an 80-20, 0.5. And a bug out. So as you can see, both of those are small in comparison to the Kizer Critical. The Kizer Critical comes in at, let's see here, it is an 8.65 inches overall. The blade is 3.6 inches. And the overall weight on this thing is 6.3 ounces. I said before, it comes in S35VN, and which is a great blade steel. So no complaints with anything there. Far as looks and the aesthetics of it, I like this knife. I think it is beautiful. Action is on bearings, and it drops shut really nice. It fires open really nice. No issues there. Reverse flick, no problem. The one thing I would say is that because of the blade weight, this does fall a little quicker at times, so watch your fingers. And it does have some thick blade stock. This knife is not small. And you'll hear me say that a few times. This knife is not a small knife. This is a pretty beefy thing. So it's got some girth, it's got some weight to it, but that's what you get here. The jimping on the back here, which also continues down here on the back spacer. The jimping is probably what I'll call good for gloves. I think if you were wearing gloves and you put your thing, you'd be locked in here, but otherwise they're flat on top. They're machined flat, and so you just kind of slide over them with your bare fingers. If you look at it from the side here, you can see that they're a deep cut. They're big cutouts on this, so it is just, they're not functional for great grip. But it does give you a good landing spot. You can choke up a little bit out here and lock in like this. I wouldn't say that you want to do some stabbing with this or you're going to wind up on the blade, but I would definitely say that it's a comfortable spot because of how flat this is over here, that you can get up over here and put your thumb way out on the blade and be comfortable. As far as a 4-finger grip, I have double XL hands, so for my hands, they're large. A lot of knives that are normal size for people are small to me. So to give you a perspective, this is a big knife. This fits in my hand with plenty of room. So there is absolutely no issues there. The pocket clip on this is stiff. It is a stiff pocket clip, and it may have some spring to it over time and use, but I think if they extended this out about another 1/8 of an inch and then was able to elongate the ramp on this thing a little bit, they probably would have had some more success. So let's take a look at this pocket clip in action for a second here. We've got my my handy dandy test pants. Shout out to my wife for cutting up an old pair of jeans for me and getting these things sewn together in a way so they don't fall apart. But when you put them in the pocket here, you can see I'm pushing pretty good, and it's a struggle to get over. It's got good retention, but I can tell you that doing this over and over again, you're going to see that this area here on your pants are going to fray right at the pocket edge over time. These things, and these are good. They're not super thick jeans, but they're average thickness jeans. So, you know, the pocket clip could have been a little bit better, but it's not a deal breaker for me on this one. So, as far as the action on this knife, I would say that for such a big knife, it's got really nice action on it. I think it opens pretty easy. I think it closes pretty easy. You have some nice access to the lock bar, and it is got a little bit of texturing on here. It's got some scalloping or chamfering on here, so you get real good, easy access to get into the lock bar. So overall, construction-wise on this thing, pretty friggin' solid. So let's talk about the negatives. So I've got a couple of them that are buggers, and then I've got one which is a really bad one. So the buggers, we already talked about one of them, right? The jimping. I think they could have done better with the jimping, but that is a personal preference thing. I think that a little bit sharper jimping, a little bit tighter jimping would have been better on this knife, and it would have given me some real lock-in over here. The pocket clip, we talked about that as well. I think a little bit longer, better ramp on this thing would have been nicer, would have gone in and out of the pants a little bit smoother, and you still would have maintained some of the retention on this. And then the back spacer with the lanyard loop. So I'm not a lanyard guy. Chris isn't a lanyard guy. So we don't really care for lanyard loops necessarily, but I get it. People do. And based on ergonomics, I think it's going to be different for everybody. But this is a sharp edge right here that comes across. So for me, I'm past it when I deploy the knife, right? It's laying flat. It doesn't bother me. But what I can tell you is that some people, they put their corner into their palm like this when they're deploying something, and that is not comfortable. This doesn't feel good. That is going to create a real hot spot. Other than that, I'm white knuckling this thing and there is no hot spot. I don't even feel the pocket clip. So there's really nothing. This is a fantastically comfortable ergonomic knife. But I can tell you that on the deployment, a person that uses this to push it into their palm to deploy, I can assure you is going to wear on them, and it's going to stick them here, and it's going to create a tender spot on their palm, and it's just not going to feel good. So those are the buggers for me. I think for this part, if they would have rounded it out, would have probably solved that problem Can I do it myself? Sure can. But little fit and finish details like that. So here is the big one. My final one that really just kind of kills this one for me. If you run your finger up the spine of the knife, right here, I get blade. I'm touching the blade right here. And that is such a massive oversight. That's gonna cut somebody. There is no question about it. You know, when it's open, obviously the blade's not in here, it's not gonna bother you. Closed, for me, I don't get it because I'm a little bit off to the side here. I leave a gap, so when I'm deploying the knife, I'm not really up against that. But maybe somebody with smaller hands or somebody who just grips this ergonomically different than I do is going to wind up pushing into this. They're going to catch themselves. There isn't a doubt about it. This is a big fail. This is a big no-no. This is, for lack of a better term, critical error. Knife being called the critical and all. That's a bad one. So that is a monster oversight. I won't lie. Other than that, this knife overall had the potential to be the best Kizer ever made, in my opinion. But this right here makes it kind of a really bad problem. Do I think that after a handful of sharpenings on this thing that it can lower the edge down, and in doing so, it'll probably eliminate that problem? It's possible a handful of sharpenings will eliminate that problem, but I shouldn't have to deal with this out of the box. That's just not a good, that's just not good construction. They should have engineered this in a different way. They should have figured something out to solve for that, and that's just an oversight that is darn near unforgivable. I'm not going to lie. So my conclusion on this is buy at your own risk. This is a great knife with the exception of this problem. But with this, that's a major problem. That is a massive fail, and I'm pretty shocked that they let this through quality control, knowing that, or maybe they don't know, but they missed this. This has to be looked at. But other than that, you know, I like this knife a lot on every other aspect but that one. So I would love to hear from you. What do you think about the Kizer Critical? Are any of these flaws something that would prevent you from buying this knife? Do you have one? And if so, is yours have the same issue where you get some blade on the spine there, which is a pretty big deal? And yeah, so let us know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for joining me today. Until the next one, take care.